Separation and divorce is tough on everyone involved, but children are always vulnerable.
Cindy from Resolve Legal Group.
One thing we do differently at Resolve Legal Group, and what I'm the most proud of, is our Kids in Mind initiative. It's a healthier alternative to court. It's cost-effective and offers both immediate legal and therapeutic family support with children's well-being at the forefront. If you are facing divorce and have children, please consider the Kids in Mind mediation arbitration process with Resolve Legal Group.
Resolve Legal Group, your go-to family law, wills and estate, and real estate lawyers in Calgary and Cochrane.
Thanks for stopping by and joining me today on the Life Changes Channel podcast. Today we're going to be talking to a very interesting lady who works with women and with some men to help them gain confidence. And she does it by helping them feel empowered through their sexuality. This just isn't in the bedroom. This is outside the bedroom too. It actually starts with your own relationship to yourself. And you are going to find this quite encouraging if you are feeling stuck after a life change or contemplating one, such as divorce. And there are ways for you to start with even 5 or 10 minutes a day to start feeling more confident and change the path of your life for the better. Now, I love bringing experts to you. I connect you here and in many other ways with people that can give you some answers and information to empower you in a lot of ways. On this podcast, you can go back. There's like over 120 episodes now of all different types of topics, different types of information and experts that come on. There's people that share their stories of their experiences. In the Divorce Diaries, there's a Hope and Health series that talks more around domestic violence, domestic abuse. There's a lot that can be learned. And if you are concerned about somebody who is in a situation that they feel stuck, they don't know where to turn to get information, then please share this with them. Show them that you care. There's also online digital magazines. Our brand new fall magazines are out now. Divorce Magazine Canada and Life Changes Magazine with lots of information. It has easy to click on links. There's some videos in there. There is so much value and it's easy to share. You can just share a link and the person can open it up and find it very discreetly if they are in a position that they really don't want people to know that they're contemplating divorce or that they're stuck in some way with a life change. We also have newsletters. You can subscribe to those so you always know when there are new episodes going to be dropping and new magazines. You'll be the first to get the newsletters. We have online support groups as well. Every 2 weeks, you have an opportunity to pop online from wherever you are and ask questions, meet our experts, and just not feel alone. For sure, you're not going to feel alone. There are people who care and are here to help you. You can watch all of these videos on YouTube and you can meet the guests that way as well. All of these podcasts are available that way. Check the links in the show notes and you'll find all of this information and more. And I also have a brand new talk show with my friend Carrie Hansen from Underground Radio C. We have so much fun. It's a real shift show, and it's actually called Shift Happens. And we're talking about different shifts in your life that you will be facing or have to deal with, as well as shifts that you want to create to have positive impact in your own life, but also to ripple out to others. So I'm really excited for you to join us in all of those ways, get the support you need. And hey, if there is somebody that you would like to hear more from or a topic that you would like to hear about, let us know so that we can bring that to you. Because you know what? If you are looking for more of that then I bet a lot of people are. So please contact us, speak up, let us know, and have an absolutely fantastic rest of your day. And now let's get into this conversation with Jannine MacKinnon, who is a confidence and sexual empowerment coach. This is a fun conversation, and it's also very encouraging to give you some quick tips that you can start right away today to make a difference in your level of confidence and in your joy and in your happiness and in your life. Let's talk to her now. Welcome to the show, Jannine. I
Thank
love,
you.
love, love the juicy topics that we are going to dig into today because it's something that I know I don't know if you're a listener of the Mel Robbins podcast, but I admire how vulnerable she gets, and she will ask those awkward, cringy questions on our behalf, on the listener's behalf. And so that's what I'm here to do. So I will, we'll see where the conversation goes, but I love what you do for people, men and women. But we go through stages in our life, when we're first into puberty, then later in life, then after a divorce or a separation or a breakup even, or just maybe we've had some health issues that have changed this part of our life. So tell us who you are, what you do, and let's dig into this really fun topic. We're gonna make it more fun. If people have been given up on this, we're gonna make it more fun.
Absolutely. We are here for the fun. Fun and empowerment and just, yeah, making it that fun, pleasurable, personal, deeply connected thing. So thank you so much for having me. Mel Robbins podcast is fantastic, and I am here for you, here for listeners. I'm an open book. So feel free to ask away of those deep questions. I am happy to answer. And for those that are new to me, hi, I am Jannine MacKinnon, host of the Unapologetic with Jannine MacKinnon Podcast and a confidence and sexual empowerment coach. So I help generally women, some men are sprinkled in there, but I tend to help women really feel confident having their needs and desires met inside and outside the bedroom. And that really creates this beautiful ripple effect of having confidence to really show up as your full authentic self, being able to speak your opinions no matter what room you're in, being able to express yourself in your fullness, have that great communication, be able to really relish in the simple, everyday, pleasurable moments that we have available to us, not just in the bedroom, but just being out in nature, playing with our kids in the rain, as I did just the other night.
This is exciting because it's something that I think is more in our minds than we care to admit.
Mm-hmm.
We feel like, oh, I shouldn't be thinking about this. It shouldn't matter. But really, honestly, I think everyone is concerned about, is my body desirable? Or what if I'm not interested anymore? Or what do I do now? Or, did that person, are they not talking to me because I was, I wasn't good enough in that way? And we really struggle to even have that conversation with ourselves, to even acknowledge how much it's on our mind. So I love that we're going to open these conversations and make it it's just a conversation about another part of our lives. Let's normalize this.
Yes, it's how we all came to be. It is a very normal part of our lives. And that's why I think it's so important to be able to have these conversations. We see sex everywhere in media. We know sex sells. It's this innate part of us. And when we just hide it behind closed doors, that's what makes us associate so much shame or embarrassment or all of these different feelings around it. And I think when we can have conversations like this, just really putting things out in the open, it helps normalize things and feel okay talking about things and being able to even use podcasts like this as conversation starters. So it's not all on you to start the conversation. It can be like, oh, I was listening to this podcast. I heard this
Right?
thing. What do you think?
Exactly. So something that popped into my mind, Janine, is with little kids already, we've been programmed, and this is changing. I admire my grandsons are taught like the actual, maybe because I was a former nurse and my daughter's a nurse. And so, let's call it what it is.
Mhm.
But they're taught the anatomical names, not some little nickname or it's shamed or don't touch that or we don't talk about that or whatever it might be. Um, I think that's changing. I do see progress.
Mhm.
I also am seeing progress around menstruation and the openness. So my bonus daughters are in their teens and both, got their periods since I've known them. And the beautiful way that their dad parents them, and I mean, he was raised by a nurse as well. So
Mhm.
you've heard you talk about poop, you talk about whatever, like that's just, you have these conversations, but very open to talking about that. And we're challenging some of those negative stigmas.
Mhm.
And I'm really seeing progress, which I really admire and respect people who will do that, especially if we've come from a different type of cultural norm.
Absolutely. I'm just so happy hearing you talk about that. And that's what we replicate in our household too. I have a 5 and a 6-year-old. They know all of their parts. And it's kind of funny when they might be with grandparents and might be like, oh, my vulva is itchy. And then their face is like, what? Like you're saying that word?
Oh my God.
Yeah, but it's just so nice to see how normal it
Yeah.
is to them. And that in itself is that sense of empowerment around these topics.
And then it opens conversations between you and either it's your parents or your partner's parents around why are they so comfortable with this? And then it can be, well, everyone should be,
Mhm.
is there something that you maybe have questions around that you haven't even spoken to your doctor about maybe. So it can open those conversations that way as well. And um, we can learn from those children. I love a saying I came across that small children, drunks and yoga pants always tell the truth.
Oh, that's great. That's so true.
So if the kids are just like, blah, like this is normal, this is made to be normal conversation. This is what we call it. And we talk about it and we ask about it. And I mean, over time, you understand who you have those conversations. It's not like the coffee shop talk around the cooler at work or, whatever that might be necessarily.
Mhm.
But there can be more of it. And we can have less. I still feel like it's a negative. If you want to talk about it, then people perceive you as a perv or some type of a weirdo. Like we do need to get beyond that.
Absolutely. And that's where it's that generational thing where I see a different future for our kids and grandkids. But for us, there can be that stigma around it. I partner with Guided by Glow, erotic meditation app. And so when she say at the school pickup or activity pickup, there is one memory she brought up when I had her on my podcast where someone asked what she does, and she's like, "Oh, I run an erotic meditation app." And the look and the reply just had her just lay on this weight of shame and like, am I wrong for doing this? Am I like a whore? And all of this big
Yeah.
spiral. But our triggers are opportunity to really heal and grow. And so that was at the beginning of when she had that business. And so that was this portal to really be able to really get true with her why, be confident in herself for what she does. And then now when she has those conversations, it's coming from that state of empowerment, and I can help you through this app. Like we don't need to be scared of it or shy away from it.
This reminds me of the Bad Moms movies, which I love. I
Me
have
too.
seen them multiple times because every time there's another friend, I'll say, "Oh, I need to, have you ever seen this?" No, and I'll watch it with them and then I watch it with someone else. And that was an empowering movie. And it reminded me when you said about the moms meeting it through the school and through the kids and how there was such a whole spectrum of characteristics, different personalities that this group came together and helped each other and empowered each other in different ways, including sexual ways that they were dealing with their relationships, divorce, or being single, or married but not happy.
Mhm.
So that brings us to why my audience would be so fascinated to hear what you have to say about where they might be stuck, either contemplating a divorce or a separation because they're not happy. It's not working for them anymore. They feel very stuck or disempowered. Sex has probably been either on the back burner, or it's not pleasant, or they feel obliged. And some of the things that you've mentioned in our conversations before, maybe they are going through a divorce thinking, um, what now? You know, what's happening in the dating world now? What's even going on? How do I even want to be part of that? And then beyond that, and now they're out. Now how do they reclaim? What I loved about something that you mentioned, and you take this conversation wherever you want, you're the expert, but this isn't just about your relation with other people, male or female, same sex or otherwise. It starts with you.
Mm-hmm. It really does. It starts with us. And so my lens of the sexual empowerment conversation is through sacred sexuality. So I guess perhaps I'll bring some clarity around that. I see the spectrum that on one side is kind of masturbation or quickies. It's very goal orientated. It's about the orgasm. There can be a lot of learned behavior through porn and things like that, of it's just P and V, get that penetration, that orgasm, and that's what it is. You have that orgasm that feels good, and then poof, it's gone, it's over, carry on with the day. So that's one spectrum. Then kind of towards the middle is slow pleasure. So that's where we begin to slow down, to be able to connect with our bodies, with ourselves, and then with partners as well. There's really this deep presence to it, and therefore that deep connection. And that's where we shift from being so goal orientated to really being about the journey and seeing where the journey takes us. And often through that, you get these expansive orgasms, but it's like this juicy bonus. It's not the main priority. It's really how you're able to connect and feel and see where that takes you. And then moving over to sacred sexuality, that's where you get to really play with the energy of it and the spiritual side of it. So our sexual energy is our life force energy. As I touched at the beginning, that's how we're all here. So it's our creation energy. And in my opinion, it's the most potent energy there is to really create life. And that translates to all different kinds of creation. And our sexuality is also tied with our creativity. So I find as people become sexually empowered, their creativity really starts to flow. And so you can actually work with the sexual energy in different ways. You can move it throughout your body. So say, as you get to peak pleasure, rather than having it poof outward and gone, there's ways that you can actually keep this energy within your body, circulate it, use it to nourish yourself on a deep level. You can also weave in different meditation and breathwork practices to play around with things and to be able to heal your traumas as well. Because when you're fully online with your pleasure, your nervous system, everything is very open to be able to program things in. And so that's where you can really heal your relationship with your body, heal your relationship with what sexuality really is. And then you can also play around with fun things like manifestation through your sexual energy, which is sex magic. So there's this full spectrum. There's no right or wrong to any of it, and it's somewhere we can really play. I just tend to focus more so on like the middle, the slow pleasure, and the sacred sexuality side.
Because people struggle with that the most or don't realize it's available to them. And if they
Absolutely.
haven't experienced it, or maybe they experienced it and they don't know how to recapture that. I know, I mean, I'm going to just jump right in here, but I know so I am a Reiki master. I don't do it a lot, but I remember like one of the most potent times I experienced this. I would have to say it took me to that sacred, that sacred sexual experience. It was something I couldn't even, I'd given my partner Reiki treatment, and then it just, led from there to sex. And it was like, it was I don't know what it was. There was like some incredible energy that was just out of this world. And, that's happened a couple times. And to be able to learn how to now really hang on to that energy, like you say, play with it, move it, and enjoy that. Um, I want to mention about the creativity because that brings to mind, I was raised, and I'm sure you have a lot of clients or have heard these stories before, very strict religious
Mhm.
upbringing. So not only modesty, being very conservative, that type of thing, and even the word create, to say that to use it in any other way than God creating was almost considered blasphemous
Mhm.
because only God can create, because that means you make something from nothing,
Mhm.
which is bullshit, in my opinion. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
Because we are creative. We are creators. We co-create with universe. We create on our own. We do make things from nothing. Our imagination and our higher self, we have this energy. And so to be able to connect with that and really expand on it and use this very primal creative energy that we are born with and born from, which I
Mhm.
love that you bring us back to that because it feels so grounding and expansive at the same time.
Mhm.
How do
Yeah.
you work with people that are coming from those type of backgrounds and haven't I've left it. I'm still, I still dig up little things that I'll go, oh,
Mhm.
wait a minute, where did
Yeah.
that little voice come from, right?
Yeah, that little voice has a tendency to just like pop up here and there. You think you've done like your work, and then, oh, there's another thing that's just calling your
Hmm.
attention. And it's definitely something I've seen with many different clients that conservative religious upbringing, it can be very challenging to overcome. And it's associated with so much shame, as you said, like blasphemy, even talking about creating, let alone
Yeah,
sexuality.
yeah.
And I have one client in particular in mind where she was just very explorative as a young girl, and her mom opening the door while she was touching herself, like so much shame, so much embarrassment for her just innocently exploring her body. And so that translates into our different experiences with partners or even with ourselves. Like many people with that conservative religious upbringing, they're not going to explore themselves. They more so associate sex as a place of servitude for the husband, for the woman to
Okay.
serve the husband. And it's very like dutiful, very task orientated. And so there can tend to be a lot of negativity that goes around it, with that shame, with not having any enjoyment. So it's like, oh, okay, like I just have to do my wifely duty. And the men can also sense this as well, that there's not that enjoyment. And so it's okay. We're on that side of the spectrum of let's just get this over with. And so working on really overcoming that, I find that peace around our sexual energy is our life force energy can be very liberating. And to be able to touch into that when you start to build a relationship with your body. And so that's where the foundation is building a relationship with your body. Because if you are so scared of your sexuality, which is what I see a lot with that shaming, like there's so much
Oh,
negativity around it, there's fear in really experiencing it because it's wrong, because I need to maintain control. And so that has people very much in their heads. And so there's that disconnect in even experiencing sensations. And so I always start slow with clients because we don't want to jump right into something and it's too much for the nervous system. It's out of that window of tolerance and we're not going to go there anymore. So we go very slow and start with just feeling your body, a basic body scan meditation of just what sensations do I have where? Starting simple. Then
with your
yoni.
knees.
Yes,
Like it doesn't have to be jump right to the genitals. It's like you can start just because some people
exactly.
don't like how you dry yourself after a shower, but do you ever touch yourself?
Yeah, many people don't
Your
because it's
arms
thought
even?
that it's, yeah. And
Like
that's
I
why,
just started, sorry to interrupt, but I just started Ayurveda. And
okay.
one of the things that like practicing and learning more about it, and look it up if anybody ever wants to. It's Ayurveda, and it's like an ancient holistic type of health approach to everything, mental, physical. But one of
Mhm.
the things they do is they use like a linen glove to you rub your arms and all the parts you can reach and just to stimulate your system and your lymph nodes and everything, right? And I thought, wow, this feels so nice. Like you just like rubbing your arm and rubbing your legs and your feet and your elbows. And I don't touch these parts. So when you say that we've even lost that connection to ourselves,
Mhm.
and that's a place to start. So please carry on.
Yes. And so weaving into that, once you connect with your body and you can use some breath to then connect with your sexual center, breathing into there, building sensations there. And then when you go to physical pleasure practices, again, it's not right to the genitals. One of my favorite ones to recommend, which ties really nicely with what you said, is a face massage. Really taking your time at the end of the night when you're doing your beauty routine, really massage it into your face, right into your jaw, which tends to hold so much pressure and tension, and just really take your time nourishing yourself, touching yourself, building that connection with your body and your sensations. And this is something that's accessible and available to all of us. And it feels super weird and uncomfortable for the first little bit when you try it, when you haven't touched yourself before, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And it's like this unlocking of what is possible and how you can really relate with your body. And then building into that slow pleasure and more of the bedroom sexual side. Again, it's not right to the genitals. Women tend to need to warm up from the outside edges inwards. And again, that's where so much of like movies and porn, like it's just right to the genitals, where we need to really take our time. So caress your hair, touch your arms. One of my favorite practices in my Unapologetic Practices collection, which has all different recordings of meditation, breathwork, and pleasure practices, is what I call nourish through pleasure. And that's where you're working with the energy of caressing your hair, touching your arms, thinking about something that really brings you into a high vibrational state and using that as nourishment for your body. So it's a really great one if you're in that yin state. So if you're a woman kind of leading up to your bleed, that premenstrual time, it's a really great practice to just be close with yourself and use your pleasure, use your energy to nourish your body and really build that connection and that presence with yourself.
Wow, that that sounds amazing. But I have to admit, as I'm learning, again, the example of Ayurveda, they do have a practice, and I can't recall the name, you maybe know it, of massage. Like they talk about this self-massage and with oils and I keep avoiding it. And it's been a couple months and I just like, well, I got to make the time. And what if it's messy? And I don't know with the process. I haven't even watched the video how to do it. And I keep putting it off because I feel like I have to have the optimal time to
Mm.
just do a nice one, a nice little thing for myself. And I think that's typical of women. And I think, I can't just exclude men. Men are busy too. And they probably would feel very self-conscious to
Mhm.
to do this. And, it's empowering for them as well. But yeah, women, we would sit down in a heartbeat if anybody of our children or our partner or even a best friend's like, oh, I have such a tight shoulder, and we would just be on that, right?
Mhm. Yeah,
So why not ourselves?
exactly. Why not ourselves? And I'd say there's more of a stigma for men to just touch themselves and just enjoy simple pleasures. So it's something that both of us struggle with in our own ways. And another block I see a lot of people having within this realm is feeling like they need to earn it. And so that's what I see as that major resistance in making time for embodiment practices, because it's, oh, I have to do my to-do list first. Oh, I have to fold the laundry before I can even do that. Or my partner's over there busy doing something. I have to be busy doing something too. I can't just rest. And I think it's really important to really overcome that and know we are worthy of rest and pleasure just as we are. It's not something we need to earn. And also touching into what you said, there's kind of done is better than perfect. We don't have to have a 30-minute, 60-minute whole thing, right?
Yeah.
Even just taking 5 minutes extra to massage your face, or gua sha might be one of the words you're looking for. I'm not sure if it's
Could be.
Ayurvedic practice, but you use the tool. So I do that.
Ah,
And just 5 minutes is that starting point. It's having those baby steps. Maybe 30 minutes is daunting. That seems so hard to take that time out of your day. Start with 5 minutes. And then, just like with exercise, you'll start to crave it more and more. It'll get easier to weave into your day. And then, before you know it, you spend 5 to 15 minutes on the regular, and then you prioritize that 30, 60-minute, 2-hour date night with yourself every week, which is something I recommend all people do, is just have a weekly date night with yourself.
ooh, I love that. And something
Mhm.
else that popped into my mind is modeling it. If you are comfortable, or at some point you become more comfortable with that, is uh, why can't you be like massaging your face or in your scalp or whatever it is? And your kids are like, "What are you doing?" And it's like, "Try it. Just let's just all sit here and try it." Or it's a bedtime routine. You're tucking your kids in maybe and say, "Hey, let's just like," or you could massage each other's heads, I guess, but they need to that connection and know that that self-soothing um activity might be something that they could use as a go-to, and that it's fine that adults do it, kids can do it. This connection with their body would be very positive.
Absolutely. It's how we get to lead the way for our families and really set that different example and create that new paradigm. I think the norm for a lot of people is that they grew up with parents who worked very hard, did what needed to be done, but they didn't really do much for themselves. It was very self-sacrificing. There's a lot of disconnection going on with body and emotions and all of these different things. So we didn't necessarily have those examples. And that's why so many of us know there needs to be a shift. And so we're learning and listening to podcasts like this, trying to create that change, because we're not used to doing these things for ourselves. We never had anyone show us how to do them. And so that's why it's even more motivating. I think not only do we need to be doing these things for ourselves, but to create that change for our kids.
Now, I want to dig into this a little more, Jannine, around the divorce and all stages of divorce or separation that people could be facing some challenges around their sexual identity, their sexual comfort in a coming out of a relationship. Not
Mhm.
so much like I, mentioned earlier, there may be health changes and that type of thing, but
Mhm.
that also can be part of that relationship, that it has impacted your comfort. Um, so I know myself, coming from over 30 years of an abusive situation in the lot, it just, and also this very strictly religious environment as a child, and that was still there in that marriage to a certain degree. A lot of shaming for, the dating I'd done prior, and the activity, the exploring I'd done, let's say.
Mhm.
Um, for over 30 years, like really shamed for that, really, like it was just used as all the time to try and keep me really power over, like really down. And this is the first time I've ever shared this with more than just a counselor or a very close friend. So I'm being very vulnerable here.
Mhm.
But in the last, like it became something. I always said it was a battlefield, it was a battleground, not a playground, is how I really
Mhm.
felt in my mind. And had to be very conscious. I was very conscious, not only from that upbringing, but also that it was an opportunity to, be vulnerable to being criticized, or um, I couldn't let myself go or lose control, really, because I didn't want that used against me then, as, like, it was just, and it got to the point where I just was so done and so over it. And it was, even for the last, say, 5 years, as I would see friends going through divorce, and I thought in my mind, oh, I think like, I didn't even realize it was abuse at that point. But
Mhm.
knowing I wasn't happy, and thinking, if I ever get out, I can't even, like, why are they talking about, like, great, happy for them if they want to date again, but that's the furthest thing from my mind. I never, ever, ever want another relationship. I am locking that up, putting it in a box on a shelf, steel clad, barbed
Mhm.
wire across, like, everything is gone. I'm done. I'm so over that. And after being out of the marriage for, it was a while, probably a year or so, I kind of got started to be interested again. And my friends were like, welcome back to the land of the living,
Mhm.
is what they said. And that's how it felt to me. It's like, oh, so this is how it can be. So, I really empathize with people who are coming from it, even if there's an abuse, even if there's not that religious upbringing, we still struggle with very common things of, lack of self-confidence, or wondering, am I doing it right? Or, like,
Mhm.
is this something I even want in my life? How can you help people feel empowered? Starting with themselves, like we've covered it, that I'm assuming is the first step.
Yes. Well, first, I just want to say thank you for sharing that. And I think it's something that's very relatable for your listeners. I know I've heard very similar situations with some of the clients I've worked with. And so that's why it's so nice to be able to bring it forward on a
Yeah.
platform like this to really normalize these situations. So thank you for that. And that is what I've seen, that through that, there tends to be a lot of distrust with ourselves. Distrust for what we've done, what our past has been, whether or not there's that religious shaming with the dating, distrust for making the decisions that we did and being in this marriage that's not working
Mhm.
out for us, and how we behaved in the marriage, and trying to decide to leave. If we leave, when's the right time? How do we do that? How did I get here? There's so much distrust. And with that battleground in needing to control yourself so much as to not say the wrong thing, to tick the person off, or have the situation go in this explosion, and wanting to avoid that. So that's where there's again that control and not trusting you to really be your full self. And that's what creates that disconnection, really being in our heads, in control, not connected with our sensations, because to be honest, it hurts too much to really
Mhm.
feel them when you're in those situations. And sometimes we do need to put our blinders on to be able to get through to the other side. And then, as it sounds like for you, that year passed, you were able to shift out of that more trauma response, that fight, flight, freeze, or fawn mode where you're in that battleground, and be able to slowly open up again, come to the land of the living, and being able to be in your body. And so, as you said, where that starts is really with us, with the connection we have with our body. And again, we can start small with that body scan meditation. If we're wanting to shift into that sexual side, there's genital breathing. So, this can be
What?
yoni breathing for women or lingam breathing for men, and it's breathing to that area of your body. And so it's building that connection, using your breath to really shift any blockages that might be there. And I will say this can be quite the challenge at the beginning. With one particular client I have in mind that had big religious shaming and a traumatic birth experience, there was this line straight across her C-section, and there was no sensation from there down. So it can take time and feel awkward at first, but building that connection with that area of your body, all of a sudden, you become alive again. You feel sensations and you can play with that energy. And then you can work through with different kinds of breath work or pleasure practices, building that connection with yourself and building that trust to be in your body. Like, I think that's huge. And why it really starts with us is because it's building trust and safety with ourselves, because we're not going to be able to surrender into these orgasmic experiences if we don't even feel safe in ourselves. And so starting there, and then through that, we learn what we like. We learn, oh, a big turn on for me is actually playing with my hair and touching my neck. And so being able to communicate that, build your confidence that way, and then begin having these more playful, pleasurable experiences really help positively reinforce all of this. And so you really begin to build that momentum and begin to feel very sexually empowered for yourself, connected with a partner when that time feels right. Be able to feel safe with them because you know how to communicate with them. And it has this beautiful ripple effect to all areas of your life. Building presence with your body helps you have presence with your family when you're having a family barbecue and the kids are playing and you're laughing and talking, and you can really be in that moment. Or as you're walking out in nature and just being able to tune into the sounds, the feeling of the trees. Same with that confidence. When you can speak up for yourself in those very vulnerable moments, it's no problem to speak up for yourself in other areas of your life. And so it starts with us, and then it carries on into those partnered experiences, into all different areas of our life.
Oh my God, I just want to do a big woohoo, right? Like this. Oh, and you so eloquently explained this too, and how it just impacts every part of our life. We walk differently, we hold ourselves differently. And to be able to have, like you say, those conversations that are empowered, that you understand what you like, and you don't have to wait till you're fully optimized in this, and you're doing vaginal breathing or whatever the heck it was you said. You don't have to wait till you're at that point. As soon as you start doing this, some, touch your face, your hair, your arms, like just start knowing what feels nice and taking care of yourself and understanding that. And then maybe mention, oh, I just love it when you touch my arm, or hold my hand in public, or wrap your arm around me, or rub my feet while we're watching TV. Like, mention those little things that really are empowering, that you've discovered about yourself. And as you feel safe to do that, you'll feel safe to let go more and just lean in and really go for that central, at least, aim for that place in the center you were talking about on your way to the sacred side. And I think that's just phenomenal that we can recognize you can start right now. You can start in just spend even 30 seconds. And we all hopefully have private time when we use the washroom. So take an extra minute even to just, if you take your phone with you, put that aside. Don't even take it in there with you, which you shouldn't in the first place. But, and coming from a nursing background, it's like, ew. But anyways, I've done it. I've done it too. But anyways, I digress. Even take a minute there in front of the mirror or whatever. Like you say, even at your bedtime routine, finish brushing your teeth, then just maybe anchor something. You probably teach people habits like that. Is there a time, maybe when you first wake up in the morning, if you're a coffee drinker, you're sitting there with your coffee, and while you're waiting for it to cool for the first sip, rub your face a little bit, rub your scalp, rub your arms, like your elbows, your knee, like just, or what about journaling? Like, can they even write down something that they really loved about the night before? Maybe they're I love the way, we snuggled. Maybe there wasn't even sex, or, like that felt really good to feel safe and protected. Or there's just so many tiny little ways. I'm imagine, like, you've really inspired me to think, like, there's so many little ways we can incorporate this. And I want people to feel that it's doable.
Yes, I can see your gears just spinning. Like there's so many possibilities available to us. It's amazing. And it really is. And there's all those different pockets of time. And like you said, anchoring it to something else, anchoring it to our nighttime routine that we're already doing it, anchoring it to when we come home. Maybe it's before we leave where our work or wherever it is, or right in the driveway. Hand massage is another really good one because we use our hands, hold a lot of tension in our hands, and giving that some care and attention. Again, super accessible. You can kind of hide it if you're in your car compared to a face massage. And even in a waiting room, if you're just sitting there, that's something that's very easy to weave in. And I'll tie back in that weekly date night with yourself is a game changer. And that's what really changed my life for me. After having two kids under 2 years old, my body didn't feel like my own anymore. I didn't know who I was. I was super resentful in my marriage and felt very isolated. So I set out to reclaim who I am, really figure out who this new version of me is. And so that started with a weekly date night with myself. And I recommend it to all of my clients, choosing the same night every single week. So it's predictable. You can weave it into your schedule. You always know what's coming up. And yes, life happens. Maybe you might get invited to a dinner or something like that night. And okay, let's reschedule it. Or next week, I'm going to jump back on that wagon. It's a lot easier when it's very predictable every week. And start out small. If you only have 15 minutes, that's okay. You can build up after that. And so that can be something like journaling, just connecting with your thoughts, coming from a place of gratitude, or really looking at what's not working for you, our anger, our frustrations, our beautiful emotions that are showing us what's not working. And they deserve space to really be felt and looked at and learned from as well. And then you can start to weave in meditations. I have a free honeypot meditation that I'll share the link with you. And it's a great way to just connect with your sexual organs. It is based for women. I speak on women's anatomy with ovaries and uterus. And it's a way we can just build that connection and be able to infuse our body with the qualities we want to have, like confidence, sensuality, maybe some sassiness sprinkled in. And then we can just do what we feel. Maybe we can be creative in different ways, whether it's a little project we want to work on. Perhaps we just need some rest and relaxation and it's a hot bath. Being able to adapt what we do based on how we're feeling in the moment, yet prioritizing it, keeping it regular. And that helps with our partners as well. If we are in that partnered experience, they begin to expect it and understand what's going on. It's not this weird thing, which it might be at first. And same with kids, if they're in the house, just no, you don't bother me right now. It's my time for me. And I find that is really that turning point and building that connection with yourself, going at your own pace to really give yourself the time, the space, the slowness that you need to just really settle into who you are.
So, Jannine, I'm happy that you mentioned what got you into this, because I was going to ask you that, and we were going to dig in. And if you want to share more around that, I'd love to hear more. An idea came to mind here. It always happens, can't help it. That maybe not only would it help your partner to buy in, or the other, if you have littles in the house, even more so, to buy into helping support you in this date night, and you would also prime yourself for an incredible experience if you booked your date night and with yourself, and then they tuck the kids in, or if that's not part of the evening plan, then after an hour to 15 minutes, whatever you want to use for your time with yourself, to just do what you need to do to connect with yourself. And then they know that you guys have a date night. You end the evening then together, and you're in this just connected, receptive, if it's spiritual, like whatever
Mhm.
space you've created for yourself. And now they just see you glowing from that. And it's just going to be a beautiful connection, whether there's sex or not. It's like
Mhm.
leads to a time that they can now set aside for themselves too.
Absolutely. From that time with ourselves, being able to get out of our heads the to-do list, how
Yep.
hard dinner, whatever it was, or
Yeah.
just exhaustion at the end of the day, being able to give that space for ourselves again, even if it's 15 minutes or go more for an hour. But that's how we're able to shift, really take off that mom hat, put on our personal hat, put on our partner hat, whatever it might be, and then be able to be present with each other afterwards. Because that's where there can be a lot of resistance and blocks for sex within relationships, is we're just so caught up in the go, go, go.
Yeah.
It's really hard to switch that hat over. It can feel very jarring when there might be
Mhm.
an advancement. Normally there's an expectation associated to any kind of touch. So it's really challenging. And so when you can use that priming of allowing yourself to relax, allowing yourself to receive, you become more open to connecting and receiving with others.
Well, and it's funny that you mention again around how our minds are so full because I usually have two browsers open on my laptop with probably maybe a dozen tabs each. And I've mentioned like to my partner, this is that's my brain. That's like this is how our brains are working. Plus, I have how many apps open on my phone and notes here and there. And that's we need to be able to let go of that. And like you say, just who am I? What feels good to me? What would I love?
Yes. Yeah. And that's how our brains really do work differently. What comes to mind is Alison Armstrong. She has incredible work. I love her book, The Queen's Coat. And
Ah,
it explains a lot of differences between how women's and men's brains traditionally work. And this is because of our hormones. Men are very mission focused, one track. They're focused on work. And maybe they're not noticing the phone calls or the messages because they're at work. They have their work hat on. Say they're watching a game, and why they don't hear you talking to them is because they're on game mode. And likewise, when they are with you, they are with you. Yeah,
yes.
women, how we connect with others and are so in tune with our kids and our communities is because we are all over the place. We have I honestly probably have like 50 tabs open between my browsers, like so many different things. And that's why a sock on the floor can scream at us when we're going to be intimate with our partners because we see all of these different things. And so that's why things like priming can be really helpful. Having this understanding of how differently we work, understanding they need transition time after work
Yeah.
to be able to focus, choose how I want or when I want to bring conversations up where they are able to listen to me. And also understanding I need time to chill out my brain, even tidy the room,
Hmm.
maybe put on some sort of essential oil diffuser to have the smells right, because these things, they can just scream at us and turn us right off. And so having this understanding, being able to put these different things in place to really support us, that's how we can really learn to thrive.
Oh, there is so much more that we need to cover, Jannine.
Yeah, I feel like we could just keep going
Oh,
and
we could, there's just
going.
so much because, yeah, I won't even bring up all the other. You're coming back. We've already planned
Okay,
that.
sounds good.
So we can do full length episodes. We're going to do some bite-sized ones. We've already talked about that, really focused. We might, for example, just do one on date night with yourself and
Mhm.
here's some suggestions. Let's just walk you through that. Give you just pieces to digest. And don't worry, all the links for what Jannine's talked about are going to be in the show notes, and we will definitely have her back. Now, and another exciting thing that's coming up, two exciting things that are coming up
Mm.
is I host online divorce support groups, and those are open to anyone to attend. But what we're doing special with Jannine is we are going to be hosting 2 different ones coming up here this fall. And just let me double check the dates. On October 1st, we're doing one at noon. That's a Tuesday. And on October the 3rd is a Thursday, 2 days later in the evening. And we're going to have one is for the ladies and one is for the men. And we're going to have Jannine really dig in deeper around female questions, gaps that she's identified. She's going to do a presentation, and there's going to be opportunity for you to ask her questions. And why we've decided to have these as for the women and the men is so that you do feel safe to ask these. Yes, for the men, Jannine and I will be there, but you've heard how cool we are with talking about anything around sex. So please feel welcome to bring your questions. And if you have concerns or you just want to feel less alone in these struggles, please do join us. And again, those links will also be in the show notes. So you are more than welcome to just join us and be empowered.
Absolutely. I'm really looking forward to being able to provide these spaces for people to just come and ask whatever is on their mind, those things that keep nagging at you or keeping you up, or really those blocks when you go to get intimate with someone because you have this trauma. It can be little t trauma just from what's happened over and over and over and over again, imprinted on our body, where these different things come up and the situations don't go well or as we've hoped. And so I am here to help you with that. I'm an open book. I can answer anything within the realm of sex, love, and relationships. I'm here to support you. And I'm just really looking forward to holding that space with you. So thank you for offering that to your community.
Well, it's a pleasure to have an expert like yourself who is willing to talk about these topics that do really affect people in all areas of their lives. Pardon me. Now, I also encourage people to check out your podcast, which will be linked in the show notes, and your website with even more resources.
Yes, we'll have all the links, and I will mention for those embodiment practices, the Unapologetic Practices collection, I will offer 15% off with code podcast. So I will send the details to you.
Okay. That's very generous. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you to those listening.
I hope you found that conversation insightful, encouraging, and also a reminder to all of us that what we see isn't always as it appears. People are going through a lot of things in their lives, and we would want that compassion shared to us, and that is something that we can offer to others without judgment. Instead, be curious and reach out, reach in, figure out a way that you can make someone's day a little better, and it might just start with a smile. I thank you very much for spending your time with me here today, and I encourage you to please subscribe to the podcast, follow us on social media, check out our events. We have lots of ways that we can help you or someone that you love. Share this with a friend if there's someone that you know could benefit from this. And hey, keep smiling that beautiful smile, because the world really does need your sunshine. It means a lot that you spend this time with us and meet our experts and professionals who can help you through whatever life changes you're facing. Please refer to our terms of service available on our website, lifechangesmag.com. The link is in the show notes. Our disclaimer: Divorce Magazine Canada, Life Changes Magazine and channel, and divorce resource groups are intended to educate and provide quality, credible resource information. The contents should not be used as factual until consultation with the appropriate professionals for any guidance. Divorce Magazine Canada, Life Changes Magazine, and Life Changes channel, as well as the divorce resource groups, do not constitute endorsements for, nor liability for any claims made in the presenting of this information.